My dear Fright fans, tonight's tale is about more than just bumping into things in the night. It's about eyes that watch, hearts that race, and secrets as old as the whispering woods themselves. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to not miss any of our spine-tingling stories. Now prepare yourself for Eyes in the Darkness. The farmhouse stood like a lonely sentinel on the edge of the vast, whispering woods, its weathered walls holding decades of secrets. Anna, with her auburn hair often tied in a careless knot, had inherited this relic of a home from her grandmother, a stern yet enigmatic woman who spoke in riddles and passed away leaving more questions than answers. Anna's life had been a quiet one since she moved into the farmhouse. Her days were spent tending to the small garden, and her nights were filled with books and the crackling of the fireplace. But recently, an unsettling feeling crept over her each night, as if the shadows themselves were alive with watchful eyes. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery orange and somber purple, Anna sat on her porch. The wooden boards creaked under her weight as she rocked slowly in her chair. She sipped her tea, a blend that her grandmother swore by, and listened to the eerie chorus of the woods. "Just your imagination, Anna," she muttered to herself, but the words felt hollow. That night, as she lay in bed, the feeling intensified. It wasn't just a sensation now, it was almost a presence, a weight in the room with her. Her eyes darted across the darkness, half expecting to catch a glimpse of something, anything, but there was only the deep, unsettling blackness. The following morning, Anna decided she couldn't take another night of this. She needed to go into the woods to prove to herself there was nothing out there. Donning her sturdy boots and a heavy jacket, she stepped into the forest, the morning mist clinging to her like a cold, unwelcome companion. The woods were dense, the canopy above allowing only specks of light to dance on the forest floor. Anna walked with purpose, her eyes scanning the trees, searching for any sign of the watcher in the night. Hours passed, and the deeper she ventured, the more she felt like an intruder in a world not her own. Then she saw them, the eyes. They glowed faintly in the darkness between two ancient oaks, watching her silently. Anna's heart raced, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. She should have been scared, but instead she felt a strange sense of curiosity. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice barely above a whisper. The eyes didn't move, didn't blink. They just kept watching her. Anna stepped closer, her mind racing with questions. That's when she heard it, a voice old as time itself, echoing in her head. "You are not alone, Anna. You have never been alone." The words sent a shiver down her spine. She wanted to run, but her feet wouldn't move. She was rooted to the spot, captivated by the glowing eyes. "You know me, Anna. You always have." Anna's thoughts raced back to her childhood, to the stories her grandmother used to tell her, stories of ancient beings and family legacies. She had always thought they were just fairy tales. The eyes blinked, and for a moment Anna saw a flash of something more, something ancient and powerful. "Why me?" Anna asked, her voice steadier now. "You have the blood of the guardians. It is your time now, Anna." The revelation hit her like a wave. Her family, her grandmother, the farmhouse, it was all connected. She was part of something much larger than herself, something mystical. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, Anna knew she had to return to the farmhouse. She had much to learn and prepare for. The eyes in the darkness had chosen her, and she couldn't turn away from her destiny. The next few days were a blur for Anna as she delved into the past, rummaging through old chests and dusty books in the attic. The house seemed to creak and groan as if it were speaking to her, revealing its long-kept secrets. Her grandmother's diaries, filled with cryptic notes and strange symbols, became her guide. One evening, as the wind howled outside like a chorus of lost souls, Anna stumbled upon an old, leather-bound book. Its pages were yellowed with age, the ink faded, but still legible. It was a history of her family dating back centuries, chronicling their role as guardians against something they called the Ancient Watcher. As she read, the pieces began to fit together. The Watcher was not just a spirit, it was a guardian of a powerful force, one that her ancestors had sworn to protect. The eyes in the darkness were a test, a rite of passage for each generation. Anna's hands trembled as she read about her great-grandmother who had faced the Watcher and bound it to the woods, setting rules that kept it at bay. But the binding was weakening. It needed to be renewed. That night, as Anna lay in bed, she could feel the presence of the Watcher, its gaze penetrating the walls of the farmhouse. She knew what she had to do. She had to face the Watcher, to renew the binding. It was her destiny. The following night, under the ghostly light of a half-moon, Anna ventured into the woods. She carried with her an amulet that had belonged to her great-grandmother, a talisman of protection. The woods were alive with sounds, the rustling of leaves, the whispering of the trees. Anna's heart pounded in her chest as she made her way to the heart of the forest, to the ancient oaks where she had first seen the Watcher. There, in the darkness, the eyes appeared, glowing with an otherworldly light. "I am here to renew the binding," Anna said, her voice echoing in the stillness. The Watcher's gaze bore into her, and for a moment, Anna felt a wave of fear. But then, she remembered her grandmother's words. "Fear feeds it, courage binds it." Gathering all her courage, Anna held up the amulet. It glowed with a faint light, casting a protective circle around her. She began to recite the words from her grandmother's diary, words of power and binding. The Watcher's eyes flickered, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a sound like a sigh, the eyes dimmed and disappeared. Anna stood alone in the darkness, the sense of being watched gone. She had done it. She had faced the Watcher and renewed the binding. As she walked back to the farmhouse, the first light of dawn was breaking through the trees. She felt a weight lifted from her shoulders, a sense of accomplishment. But she also knew that this was just the beginning. The Watcher would return, and she would be ready. The weeks that followed were a time of transformation for Anna. The farmhouse, once a simple haven from her past, now felt like a command center from which she guarded against unseen forces. She fortified the house with symbols and wards described in her grandmother's diaries, feeling the weight of her responsibility growing each day. But with this newfound purpose came isolation. Anna's friends from the nearest town began to question her sudden reclusiveness. Phone calls went unanswered, invitations declined. She knew she couldn't explain her bizarre inheritance of duty. It was her burden to bear alone. One fog-laden evening, as Anna was perusing yet another of her grandmother's cryptic journals, there was a knock at the door. Hesitant but curious, she opened it to find her closest friend, Emily, standing there, concern etched on her face. "Anna, we're worried about you," Emily said, her eyes searching Anna's. "You've been so distant. Is everything okay?" Anna hesitated, the truth burning on her tongue. But how could she explain the unexplainable? Instead, she forced a smile and assured Emily she was just caught up in family matters. But Emily's doubtful gaze told Anna she wasn't convinced. After Emily left, Anna felt a pang of loneliness. She realized how much she missed human connection, how much she yearned to share her secret. That night, as she patrolled the boundary of her property, she felt a strange sensation, as if the Watcher was not just observing her, but empathizing with her solitude. The next few days brought an eerie calm. The Watcher's presence was still there, but it felt less menacing. Anna wondered if the entity could sense her loneliness, her longing for a life beyond these woods and ancient duties. Her question was answered one stormy night when she heard a voice, not in her head this time, but through the howling wind. It was the Watcher. speaking in a tongue that was ancient yet somehow familiar. "You are not alone in your guardianship," the voice said, a whisper amidst the thunder. Anna stepped outside, looking into the tempestuous night. "What do you mean?" she called into the storm. "The legacy of the Guardian is a shared one. Your ancestors stood where you stand, felt what you feel, and they found strength not in solitude, but in the bonds they forged." Anna pondered the Watcher's words. Was it possible that her ancestors had faced the same struggles? That they too had balanced the weight of their duty with the need for connection? The next morning, with the storm cleared and the sun casting a warm glow over the dewy earth, Anna made a decision. She would not let this duty consume her. She would reach out, reconnect with her friends, perhaps even share some parts of her story. After all, the Watcher itself had shown her that guardianship didn't mean isolation. As she set about her day, repairing a fence, tending to her garden, Anna felt a lightness in her step. She was still the guardian of the Watcher, but she was also Anna, a friend, a part of a community. That night, as she walked the perimeter of her property, she felt the Watcher's eyes upon her. But this time, there was a sense of mutual understanding, a shared acknowledgement of the need for both duty and connection. Months passed, and Anna found a new rhythm to her life, balancing her role as the guardian with her rekindled relationships. The townspeople began to notice a change in her. She seemed more grounded, yet there was a mysterious edge about her that intrigued them. However, the equilibrium she had achieved was soon to be tested. Late one autumn evening, while Anna was hosting a small dinner with her closest friends, including Emily, an unnerving feeling crept over her. The air turned cold, and a sense of dread filled the farmhouse. Excusing herself, Anna stepped outside. The night was unusually still, and the familiar presence of the Watcher was more intense than ever. She felt its gaze, not just on her, but on her home, her friends inside. Rushing back into the house, Anna's heart sank as she found her friends in a state of panic. The windows had fogged over with an unnatural mist, and the air was thick with a sense of impending doom. "Anna, what's happening?" Emily asked, her voice trembling with fear. Anna knew she couldn't hide the truth any longer. "There's something I need to tell you," she began, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. She quickly explained her family's legacy, the Watcher, and her role as its guardian. Her friends listened in stunned silence, disbelief and fear etched on their faces. Before she could finish, a loud crash echoed from outside. They all turned to see a shadowy figure standing at the window, its eyes glowing in the darkness. "It's here," Anna said, a resolve in her voice, "but I know how to protect us." She hurriedly instructed her friends to draw symbols from her grandmother's diaries on the windows and doors, using salt and ash from the fireplace. The atmosphere in the house shifted, the air growing warmer, the sense of dread slowly receding. As the figure outside faded into the night, Anna's friends turned to her with a new understanding, a mix of awe and fear. "You're really a guardian," Emily whispered. "Yes, but I'm not alone," Anna replied, looking at each of her friends. "You've all helped protect this house tonight." In the days that followed, the dynamic in the town changed. Whispers of Anna's encounter with the supernatural spread, and she found herself both respected and feared. But she also found that her honesty had brought her friends closer. They became her allies, willing to stand with her against the darkness. As winter approached, Anna realized that her grandmother's legacy was not just about battling an ancient entity, but about understanding the balance between light and darkness, solitude and companionship, fear and courage. The final twist came one crisp, clear night when the Watcher appeared to her, not as a menacing presence, but as a guardian in its own right. bound to her family, protecting a deeper secret of the land they both watched over. Anna now knew that her role was not just to keep the Watcher at bay, but to understand and respect the ancient balance of power it represented. She was not just a guardian of her family's legacy, but a keeper of an age-old equilibrium between the human and the mystical world. Well, it seems our dear Anna found more in those woods than just a pair of peepers. It's true what they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul, or in this case, to a family legacy. Leave a comment below about what you would do if you found yourself in Anna's boots. Fright fans, click next for more chills and hit subscribe to join our ghastly gang. You see, who dares to miss out, so watch our next video.